Section 2 declares that the sovereignty of Papua New Guinea over its territory and natural resources is absolute. Correct. That principle remains sacred, Assistant Speaker. That principle remains fundamental. However, Assistant Speaker, exercising that same sovereignty of authority, this Parliament deliberately created a special constitutional framework for Bougainville. Section 276 provides that Part 14 applies only to Bougainville.
Regional Member for Bougainville and Minister for Works and Highways.
Thank you, Assistant Speaker. Before me debate too, I want to take this opportunity to appreciate our Chairman for Parliamentary Committee, Bipartisan Parliamentary Committee, for bringing forward this report. And I just want to qualify my statement this afternoon. Assistant Speaker, I stand here as a second-generation parliamentarian. Predating 1975, my grandfather, Sir Paul Lapun, was in self-government 1964 to 1987. So I make this statement to just highlight to this Honorable House that this journey did not start in '89, but as we all know from the reports and from many engagements, we know that there is a long, deep history of the people of Bougainville in their aspirations. Before me, give him Planuk Save Pasta mi Golong, Vice President Blomi, Honorable S.K. Masat, with all my honorable leaders of the Autonomous Bougainville Government who are in the House. I also acknowledge all my chiefs from Central Bougainville, including my chiefs from Bana, who are here, all Papua New Guineans that are listening and watching, and all my people of Bougainville that have had their ears on today's session and this debate. Me talk gutpla de lo yupla olgeta. Assistant Speaker, I rise not merely as the regional member for Bougainville. I rise as a son of Bougainville. I rise as a citizen of Papua New Guinea. I rise as a Melanesian leader in this honorable Melanesian House. And I rise conscious that what we do in this chamber today will be remembered long after every one of us have left this public life. Future generations will study this moment, Assistant Speaker. They will ask what kind of leaders we were. They will ask whether we honored our Constitution. They will ask whether we honored our word. And Assistant Speaker, I would like to remind our Honorable House that what we're all doing today is merely following the Constitution, the process that prescribes the peace agreement, to follow the process constitutionally. I would like to remind this House that it was also in 1989 that this House also declared state of emergency on Bougainville. We were very young back then. We were only it was only the fourth term of Parliament in '89, Assistant Speaker. But it was this House that invoked the state of emergency on Bougainville, that saw us distant, that saw us disclosed from humanity in a dark age that lasted for almost 10 years. Now, many generations from now, they will ask whether we had the courage to complete the journey that our predecessors began. And why I say our predecessors is that it was this House, the 6th Parliament, us leaders in this House, that they started brokering the peace agreement in 2001. It was this House, following the constitutional process. Mr. Speaker, let us clear away from fear. Let us clear away from misunderstanding. Let us clear away from politics. This debate is not about whether Bougainville should break Papua New Guinea. That debate occurred more than 20 years ago. That debate was settled when the leaders of Papua New Guinea chose peace over conflict. Us leaders see in the 6th Parliament, they chose peace over conflict, and they invoked the peace agreement. The matter before us today is much simpler. The matter before us today is whether this Parliament will faithfully discharge the constitutional responsibility entrusted to it by leaders who came before us. Mr. Speaker, on 23rd January 2002, let me remind this House, the National Parliament took the first constitutional vote. Out of 109 seats, 85 members voted in favor. None voted against, and it was overwhelming to invoke Part 14, which is the peace agreement. That was on January 2002. On that 27th of March, a second vote took effect on the final constitution vote, and 87 voted in favor. None voted against, not one. No division, no opposition, no uncertainty. The leaders of that generation spoke with one voice. The speaker presiding over those historic votes was Sir John Pundari, who today sits among us and has the rare privilege of witnessing both the beginning and the conclusion of this constitutional journey. Prime Minister Sir Mekere Marauta, Minister for Bougainville Affairs Sir Moe Ave, Speaker then Sir John Pundari, and the members of that parliament, together they embedded the peace agreement into the supreme law of Papua New Guinea. Not into an ordinary act, not into a policy document, not into a political agreement, into the Constitution itself. Mr. Speaker, Section 2 declares that the sovereignty of Papua New Guinea over its territory and natural resources is absolute. Correct. That principle remains sacred, Mr. Speaker. That principle remains fundamental. However, Mr. Speaker, exercising that same sovereignty of authority, this Parliament deliberately created a special constitutional framework for Bougainville. Section 276 provides that Part 14 applies only to Bougainville. My honorable leaders, if you are questioning yourself if this decision will fragment Papua New Guinea, it will not. The Constitution says so. It protects, it quarantines. More importantly, it provides that where there is any inconsistency between Part 14 and any other provision of the Constitution, Part 14 prevails. Those words were not inserted accidentally, Aston Speaker. They were inserted deliberately. They were inserted because Bougainville was not an ordinary political issue. Bougainville was a peace issue. Bougainville was a reconciliation issue. Bougainville was a nation-building issue. Now, there were 4 constitutional steps, Mr. Speaker. Step 1 was the referendum. Section 338 required that a referendum be conducted on Bougainville's future political status, as we all know. The referendum occurred. The Constitution was obeyed. Step 2, the people were asked to vote freely. The process was internationally observed. The process was accepted by both governments. Mr. Speaker, the people answered. Mr. Speaker, Section 342 required consultation between the national government and the Autonomous Bougainville Government. That consultation, Mr. Speaker, it occurred. Government after government, Prime Minister after Prime Minister, President after President. Section 342, Section 2 requires that the final consideration by this national parliament, which is where we are today. So in the constitutional process, this is why this matter before us today matters. Not because Bougainville demanded it, not because a prime minister demanded it, not because an individual leader demanded it, but because the Constitution requires it, as it is a constitutional process. Mr. Speaker, the result was clear. The result was overwhelming. The result was unequivocal. 97.7% voted for independence. Whether one agrees with the result or not, it is not a matter of personal opinion. But no one can honestly dispute its clarity. No one can honestly dispute its legitimacy. No one can honestly dispute that it emerged from the very constitutional process the Parliament itself created. Therefore, Mr. Speaker and my fellow leaders, the question before us is not whether we love Papua New Guinea. We do, Mr. Speaker. The question before us is not whether we value national unity. We do, Mr. Speaker. The question before us is not whether peace matters. It does, Mr. Speaker. Peace does matter. The real question is this: will Papua New Guinea honor the constitutional covenant it made with Bougainville? Mr. Speaker, will this Parliament complete the journey that another Parliament began? Do not feel burdened, my honorable leaders. You all have been part and parcel of a constitutional process. It started in the 6th Parliament. We're now at the 11th Parliament. We are just executing the last process of what is required by us through the constitutional process. We will demonstrate that the word of Papua New Guinea, will this Parliament complete the journey that another Parliament began, Mr. Speaker? Will we demonstrate that the word of Papua New Guinea is sacred, Mr. Speaker? Will we prove that agreements entered into good faith are honored, Mr. Speaker? Will we show that the world that Melanesian leadership is founded upon integrity? Mr. Speaker, history will not remember how loudly we spoke. History will not remember which side of politics we belong to. History will not remember our titles. History will remember only one thing: whether we honored our word, Mr. Speaker. The generation before us choose dialogue instead of war, Mr. Speaker. They choose reconciliation instead of division, Mr. Speaker. They choose constitutionalism instead of violence, Mr. Speaker. And they entrusted that legacy to us. Today, we honor every peacemaker. every mother, every church leader, every chief, every former ex-combatant, every leader who believed that peace was possible. Today, we honor the wisdom of those who embedded that promise into our Constitution. And today, we have an opportunity to demonstrate that the word of Papua New Guinea remains unbroken. For peace was the purpose. For peace was the promise. For peace was the process. And peace must remain the legacy. May God bless Bougainville. May God bless Papua New Guinea. And may future generations say that when history called upon us, we honored our covenant. The Bible says in 5:19, "Blessed are the peacemakers, for they shall be called sons and daughters of God." I finish by saying I commend the chairman of the Bipartition Committee of bringing this report to the floor and allows all of us to discuss. And as we highlighted, it is not the end. We will have opportunity to debate thereafter. But hopefully, what I have been able to amplify this afternoon will help guide you when you read through the Bipartition Committee's report.